What's up, traders? My name is Vincent Mokotedi, the founder of Vinboss Signal Factory with over 7 years of proven trading results. I am the only trader who trades publicly with my community. Every single trade, wins and losses included. No hiding, no manipulation, just transparency and real trading results. Furthermore, I would like to tell you that I've already built a Telegram and a WhatsApp community filled with serious traders only. The best part is it's free to join. All you need to do is number 1, register with XNS under our exclusive link. Number 2, verify your trading account. Number 3, fund at least $100. Some traders are funding $1,000 to enjoy higher profits. When you fund, you will get to receive the following that I will mention. Firstly, it will be the weekly forex forecast of all the major pairs, gold and silver included, daily signals and analysis for London and New York sessions, fundamental news breakdown on major economic events. You will get again a course called Beginner to Pro Ultimate Course for both beginners and struggling traders seeking consistency. Proven strategies tested and verified by myself and other professional traders. One-on-one mentorship where you can request personal attention to deepen your price action and signal understanding. But that's not all. If you are not registered with us or you're not ready to switch over to XNS as of yet, you would still receive daily analysis of 6 pairs only, which includes the euro dollar, the pound and the dollar, the euro Canadian dollar, the pound Canadian dollar, the euro and the pound, and last but not least, the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. You will only receive the London session analysis only. That is a limited access that we give to those who are not with us. So don't miss out on all the full access to premium trading education, signals, and membership. After funding, send proof of registration to WhatsApp 068 060 5332 for instant access to everything. So traders, from last week, we were expecting this to come retest our demand zone, first or second demand zone, and then afterwards we did get exactly what we wanted to see, and we are still in the midst of reaching our intended target. Now, with that being said, this is what I do want to see going into next week, and let's see. So traders, what we would like to see on this currency pair, which is the euro and the dollar going into next week, is I would like to see the continuation going to the upside and then reaching our intended target right here at 1.1780. This would be a fantastic place to finish off the trade from last week Thursday with the CPI, and from here maybe the interest rate decision would reach us at this price after taking profit so that we can continue to the upside with it again. But with that being said, traders, if it does not happen as intended, of course, maybe we have a pullback to retest the first demand zone or the second demand zone. Both these levels at 1.1706 and 1.1690 would be a great place to look for buying opportunities. Of course, if you did miss the CPI signal, this would also be a great place to look for buying opportunities to continue to the upside to make that 1:80 target. And this is also a great place to look for buying opportunities to make that 1.1780. This is my bias going into next week with the euro and the dollar, and that's not the only possibility possibilities that might come in hand. If we do come down and break the weekly break of structure right here at 1.1660, this would be a great place to look for a pullback, of course, and sell from last week's weekly break of structure at 1.1660 to continue down to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio set up. Now, this is all in the euro and the dollar. This is the dollar currency pairs that we're starting with. So without wasting much of our time, let's go straight to the pound and the dollar. So last week, traders, this was the bias on the pound and the dollar. So the expectation was to reach, the initial expectation was to reach the first demand zone and the first demand zone, but because of the strength that led to, if you have watched our video yesterday on the losses and losses, you'll realize that the pound is much more stronger than the euro going into next week. So with that being said, it did not allow us to reach the second demand zone, but with the real traders community, with the real account traders community, what we did was to open this uh new white line here as the target, the second target place that would be looking for buying opportunities. And of course, after reaching it, the market reacted justly to our level. So let's see what we'd like to see again going into this coming week. And traders, what I'd like to see from this week is a pullback to retest the first demand zone, look for buying opportunities, of course, and continuation to make that 1.3590. This would be a fantastic place to look for buying opportunities. The second great place is the second demand zone, which is 1.3522. This would be a great place to look for buying opportunities and continuation to the upside to reach that 1.3590 as our target profit. And with that being said, traders, this can just continue to the upside on Monday to reach the intended target. But if we were going to look for any selling opportunities or sell setups, this would take our break even, of course, go down and break our weekly break of structure. And with that being said, look for selling opportunities to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio. This would be a fantastic setup also going into next week with the pound and the dollar. So with that being said, let's go straight to the euro and the Canadian dollar. So traders, this is the euro and the Canadian dollar from last week. We did have a buy setup from these levels and a break even from this area, of course, and then afterwards we did get to the entry again, the second entry with the euro, with the CPI from the dollar. And with that being said, we've always been into this trade ever since Thursday with no clear direction. Of course, even from last week, the whole week, we can just say the euro and the Canadian dollar, we lacked momentum and the direction. So let's go and see what we have in store coming into the following week. And traders, this week, what I would like to see is I would like to see the market going up. Of course, reaching the target here, but if it doesn't, one last pullback from either of these two demand zone at 1.6230 and 1.6220 would be a fantastic place to look for a re-entry if you've missed the first setup, and then a continuation to the upside to that 1.6280. This would be a fantastic target profit that we would be looking out to take. But if indeed we do get this, I'd be looking for a pullback to retest the weekly break of structure at 1.6178. And then with that being said, a continuation to the downside to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio would be a fantastic place to look for selling opportunities right here at 1.6178. So this is the euro dollar. As you can see, it is tight. It is only playing within a small band of um, pips from 1.62 to 1.6268 to 1.6178. It's like 100 pip move, so it's really not that much. But with that being said, this is what I expect to see going into next week. So traders, with the pound and the Canadian dollar, it was not really much of a complicated week last week. It was easy for us to enter here, and then after the entry, we did not even wait for the first demand zone and the second demand zone, as we have mentioned that the pound has gotten stronger than the euro and the majority of other pairs like the Canadian dollar and the Japanese yen. But with that being said, this is the entry yesterday. After the entry, a strong bullish momentum to the upside, a retest of this, and then a continuation to the upside to take profit. And this trade turned out to be 1:4.29%. This is the setup that we were after, and this is how much we made from this setup alone. So let's go over and see what we have in store this week with the pound and the Canadian dollar. And with the pound and the Canadian dollar, this week I would like to see a pullback to retest this demand zone, of course, or the second demand zone, which pretty much it's evident that they are close to each other. 1.8724 is the first demand zone, and the second demand zone is 1.8703. And with that being said, I'll be looking for buying opportunities from either places. So if the market does not give us a pullback, instead it breaks to the upside before, it will come and retest the last week's new high at 1.8792. This would be a great place to look for buying opportunities. Of course, if we do not retest any of the demand zone but break straight to the upside with momentum, this would be a great place to look for buying opportunities to the upside to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio. This would be a fantastic setup for everyone else who is trading the pound and the Canadian dollar. And for that matter, if we do get a strong momentum to the downside, and we break this weekly break of structure at 1.8652, a pullback will be imminent to retest this level right here at 1.8682, which is our weekly break of structure. Then a continuation to the downside to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio would be imminent and would be the highest possible move. So without wasting further time, this is the pound and the Canadian dollar setups for me going into next week. Let's go over to the euro and the pound. Traders, with the euro and the pound, last week we were looking for the demand zone to hold and go to the upside to take our last week's high at 0.8712. That was our intended target, but instead we did have a strong momentum from the pound. That's why you saw the pound reacting stronger to the dollar. That's why you saw the pound reacting stronger to the Canadian dollar on the YouTube free watch list. Now, with that being said, traders, let's see what the market has in store for us going into this week. So going into this week with the euro and the pound, what I do expect to see is a continuation to the upside to retest the first or the second demand supply zone, of course, because we have now structured to the downside, of course. Now, after this, look for bearish patterns and formation to continue to make that 1:3 or reach this 0.8634. This would be a great place to look for selling opportunities, and this would be a great place for taking profit. And if it does not equal how much you're risking, of course, because this kind of risking is also or is only been given to those who have real accounts and are registered with us. But without wasting much time, this would be a great place to do 1:3 if it does not equal if it is less than 1:3 on this target area. So this is what I do expect, and if it does happen, in a rare chance that this continues to the upside to retest this weekly break of structure, a pullback will be imminent and a continuation to the upside to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio setup. So that's it. Let's go to the last but not least currency pair, which is the pound, the US dollar, and the Canadian dollar. Not the pound, the US dollar, and the Canadian dollar. And traders, with this setup going into next week, what I would like to see is a continuation to the upside to reach our intended target right here at 1.1780. Now, if we do not reach the target right away, what we'd like to see is what would okay, and traders with the US dollar and the Canadian dollar, what I'd like to see going into this week is a continuation to the upside to make that new high at 1.3890. But if we do not start off with a scenario like that, a deepened pullback, of course, would be imminent from these levels of 1.3826, would be a great place to look for buying opportunities to continue to the upside to reach that 1.3890. But rather, if we do break this level of weekly break of structure at 1.3787, this would be a great place to look for selling opportunities to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio. Now, traders, these are the weekly forex forecast signal. This would happen in a weekly basis. Of course, during the week, we do break down these videos day by day on YouTube and on the real account traders community. They already have uh, their analysis of all the currency pairs from last week to this week. They already have their weekly forex forecast. So on YouTube, I'm only doing this on Sunday because that's when I have time. But without wasting further time, thank you for watching the video, liking, and making sure that you know what is up ahead in the market so that you can stop guessing again. Rather than guessing, just know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, and how to react to losses and wins, because that's what I provide. So that is it from me. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Make sure you tell somebody who you think should know about this channel. And happy week going into next week with the big news coming in from next week.